My name is Dana Way. I'm a forensic expert for Defense Counsel, focusing on DNA and controlled substances, narcotics, poisons, death investigations, crime scene analysis, crime scene investigation, every element from every end of criminal investigations for defense attorneys and defense clients. Yeah, Rule 706 states that you need to have an expert equivalent on both sides of the fence in the courtroom, from both sides. And if the defense expert doesn't have a science expert or a tool mark expert or a paint expert or any of these elements that the state comes to their presentation with, then he's not getting equal and reliable representation in the courtroom. So it is essential now, because attorneys have to have this, defendants have to have this in order to get a fair trial. If I had to give somebody a direction, a new member direction to be able to come in and get started fresh out of the gate, never worked as an expert before, but has the working knowledge and desire to do so, the first stage has got to be certified forensic consultant, because that's where you learn how, the various workings of the courtroom, whose role is what you're allowed to say, what are the rules of evidence, what are you allowed to bring to the table, and how can you work effectively as a team from that side of the court. I started in defense consulting before I ever came into the ACFEI, and what forced me to come here, it was a forced effort by a judge and an ADA who constantly was going through another expert's CV resume and asked me about 15 different levels of associations. Do you belong to this? Do you belong to that? Do you go to this conference? Do you go to that conference? And I was like, oh my gosh. After about the 15th one, I was like, wow, I need an association. This was the only association that allowed such a broad spectrum and allowed a broad sense of members to be able to network in all elements of what I did, because I did so many different things. A variety of experts, particularly with the prosecution, they're only toxicology, only serology, only pathology, only, tool mark experts. I wanted that whole broad puzzle to be able to take it apart, put it back together, and make sure it fit. CFEI is the only place that you can find the level of disciplines that you need to be able to be credible on a witness stand. You don't have credibility even with a bunch of free work, because you don't have the backing, you don't have the training. These are the things that I would get asked on the stand. Well, have you been trained in this level of forensic science? Have you been trained in this element? Have you run this instrument? I had to go out and find the backing to be able to maintain my credibility. Before I had any of these certifications, the basic element was she's not a threat, we'll let her testify anyway. I now have the same credentials or better than the training that they've given to some law enforcement agencies, because the curriculum is very similar. I now have that credibility to say, okay, well, you didn't do this right, you didn't collect that right, this shouldn't have been in a paper bag. Even though I knew these things, now I have the credential status and the certification to back it. And so it's indisputable, really, when you're going up for an expert. You can't say that, okay, she's not an expert because she hasn't had. Now I've had. My reports now serve as closing the case and never going to trial. That's the key element. Report writing is very, very critical, as well as the credentials. What do we do for our members? We'll help them, get a profile set up. We'll help them deliver a profile. We'll help them get the key points of wherever their profile should be and how they can put it out on the internet. And you have a plethora of resources to be able to contact for whatever help you need and whatever element that you're working on. Where can you go to get the training to match the state's experts? Where can you go get that real world live experience, niched certificate, focused program? It's only one place that allows anybody to come in and gain the training, knowledge, experience, training necessary, that has the drive and the interest and, willing to put in the work or the effort, and that's ACFEI. There's only one entity.